Am I going to get sued? Am I going to lose my job? So yesterday in Santa Agata, Lamborghini unveiled the brand new Urus SUV. And while the idea of our favorite super sports car manufacturer getting into the truck business is new, the Urus concept is not. In fact, back in 2012, about 5 years ago, I saw the concept in New York City. Ahead of the New York International Auto Show, Lamborghini had invited dealers from all over the world to the city to see the car. Now, they weren't going to unveil it at the New York Auto Show. In fact, they had it planned to go to Beijing for their auto show because at the time, the Chinese market was just killing it. We were endlessly being lambasted for our failures relative to the Chinese sales numbers. And China was just everything they could be excited about. They were opening a new franchise every week or every month in some city or province, and the US had fallen behind. Now, the Chinese market's cooled off a bit since then, it's still fine, but Lamborghini needed to rely on the Chinese and Eastern European markets in addition to the traditional American market for an SUV idea if it was to be successful. And so they took us to this super secret warehouse in the meatpacking district in New York City and took us through security, took our phones, had us sign their waivers, and they showed us the concept. And they were interested in our thoughts relative to their sedan they developed, the Estoque, a couple of years prior, as to whether or not we thought that the commercial viability of a sedan or an SUV made more sense at the time. The Cayenne Turbo S was not selling well, the Range Rover Supercharged sold okay, but not nearly at the price point they knew they needed to be at to justify the car. And we had seen a lot more price elasticity to performance in the sedan world because we saw obviously the Ghost, the Rapide, the Flying Spur, in addition to the S65 and Alpina B7, demonstrate that a sedan buyer did care about performance. Nobody knew if fast SUVs were really that much of a thing. So we looked at the car, we gave them some feedback on pricing, on motors, on everything that we really thought made sense for the car, and we left. And obviously on the way out, I talked to my rep from Lamborghini and the people that I knew, and I asked them kind of, what do you want us to do from here? Is it okay to share this information with our friends, with our customers, with our dealership? And they all said yes. But apparently that yes did not demonstrate the collective agreement of the brand, because when I got home, I wrote up my article and put it out on my blog, and it was all generally just positive, factual information about this thing that people seemed interested in knowing about. But a few hours I looked back and I was getting about 100 times the traffic to my website as normal, and that's not generally a great thing when you don't know precisely why that is. And so I Googled my name and I found out that all these different car blogs, Jalopnik and everybody else, were referencing my site and what I had said about this car with no additional sources. And so it seemed like I was the only person who had put anything out on the internet, not only about this super secret Lamborghini meeting in New York City, but about the SUV. And so a few minutes later, obviously, I get called into our dealer principal's office, my boss, and he asked me, he said, Ed, did you violate their NDA and put information out there about this car? I said, well, they told me that we were allowed to. And he said, well, they're pretty upset about it. So I went back and I took the article down and ended up getting Jalopnik to take theirs down. But at that point, it had spread everywhere. And there was really no way to rein it back in. I'm Googling, how do you delete something from the internet, sort of things. But nothing you could do at that point. And so eventually we got them calmed down. They did officially unveil the concept in Beijing. But I was curious, am I going to get sued? Am I going to lose my job? But over the next few years and really the next few months, I sold enough new cars and won enough salesperson contests to be able to do very little wrong in the eyes of Lamborghini as a brand. But it was a bad day for Lamborghini Atlanta and a bad day for me. But fortunately, I hadn't said anything scathing or unbecoming about the idea of an SUV. And even though I remain not really sold on it, I'm curious to know everybody else's thoughts about the Urus because it's definitely an interesting direction. As we move towards technology, as we move towards autonomy, we're going to see more and more of this. I mean, you're going to be able to make any car, any vehicle really, really fast. It doesn't have to be some little lightweight sports car. It can be a gigantic SUV that seats 4. Now it looks like you can't be very tall and sit in the back based on the roof line, much like an X6. And I'm not crazy about the March Madness bracket front grills it's got, but I'm sure it'll be a brilliant car to drive. When it depreciates a bit, I might even buy one for my wife. But it's just hard for me to warm up to the idea of an SUV from Lamborghini. When I look at all the analog, all the manual parts to my Murcielago, and certainly even looking back, I know I'm going to miss that about these types of cars. I want them to be crazy. I want them to be extreme. I mean, I like them to be useless. That's to me what's redemptive about these crazy cars from Lamborghini, and that's not what the future of Lamborghini is going to look like. It's not what the future of any manufacturer can look like, unfortunately. So we're going to end up with higher quality cars, and who knows how the SUV will be received, how it will work in the marketplace, but I wish them all the very best, and I'm glad they finally got their car out there, and we can't wait to get it on the road.